Hi, guys. Welcome to the Naked Three. Three diverse women who want to talk about the naked truth, listen across our differences with love, and bring you some love as well in these fun and challenging times. You can share this live video on your own Facebook wall right now so your friends can watch too. And join in and make a loving comment, please. We plan to be back every Wednesday, 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to know more about Sidewalk Talk, it's a global community listening project with over 90 locations and 15 plus countries. So head on over to the Sidewalk Talk website. I am Lorraine. I'm listening and talking here from New York.
I am Larice, known as Reese. I am listening and live from North Carolina, but I am not a Southern Belle.
I am Tracy from San Francisco, the left coast, I guess, right? Yeah. And by way of Heidelberg, Germany. And I'm trying to think of something as clever as you, Reese, but it's not going to happen. So tonight I'm introducing the theme. Our topic is identity, but we got to know each other online and we started having so much fun talking. So who knows if we'll stay stuck to just one topic of identity. We might go in all different directions here, but can we start with what it was like to promote this us three of us talking together? What happened with the picture and the graphic? Anyone want to share?
We didn't have any boobs.
Okay.
I don't think that's what you're talking about, Reese.
Okay.
You want to focus on the. I did get a comment from Beth. She just somebody on the on the Facebook page just asked, "Are y'all going to be naked?" And I said, "Do you want us to be naked?" She goes, "I just wanted to make sure. I think some people thought they might need to have their children somewhere else because we're going to be naked."
Oh, well, they still might want to have their kids somewhere else.
True.
Right. I told her she could be naked though, because we weren't going to be able to see her. No. So here's the scoop. I'm going to out myself. I posted a photograph of the three of us when we were just chit-chatting a couple weeks ago, and we were like, I don't know, we talked for 2 hours about all the naughty things that we may not talk about in this show. And Reese, what did you say to me? You said, "Hey, I don't like that picture of me."
I didn't like the picture because the skin tone didn't match my skin tone.
You
Wait,
said
what
something
picture
else.
are you talking about? There were two different pictures. There was the original picture of the Zoom call that we didn't like, and then there was the graphic picture. So there were two separate.
I want to talk about them both and what came up and how that was for the three of us. Three different women with three different skin colors, three different identities. We're talking about identity. And we had to get real honest and set some boundaries with one another as friends.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll start. For me, when I saw the picture, when you posted it on your Instagram page, I immediately thought, why would Tracy post that picture? My hair's not done. And then Reese had her eyes rolled up like she was rolling her eyes. And I thought that just wasn't a good picture of us. But then you were in the picture, you were smiling, looking at the camera, excited. And I was like, I want to look as excited. So I texted Reese and I was like, did you see the picture? And she said, yes, I don't like it. And I said, neither do I. And then we talked about how we were going to approach you in a kind, gentle way so you wouldn't be offended. And then that's how we talked about the original picture. And then the graphic picture was a separate conversation because Reese called me and said, I don't like the skin tone of us in the picture. For me, the skin tone didn't matter, but to her it was important. And then when you removed the first picture and then sent the graphic back with the three different skin tones, I was like, yeah, that's more of a representation of what we look like. But it was initially difficult for Reese and I to understand, like, how would we approach you with this?
Black women.
Right. How would we say, like,
how would two Black women approach a white? So why were you taking care of my feelings? Why were you guys talking about how to take care of that? I wouldn't get offended. You know me better than that.
I wasn't concerned about you getting offended, actually.
Oh, good.
I was concerned about us looking like the angry Black woman or the angry woman of color. So
I feel
looking
you on
up,
that.
it's like, was I rolling my eyes? Was I, saying, oh my gosh, something like that? There's this stereotype that sometimes we look like the angry Black woman,
Yeah.
and that could be an
Okay.
identity.
Can I pick a bone with you though? Did you guys really worry about whether I was going to get offended, Lorraine?
I was worried about that because
I was not.
I was worried about it.
I'm glad. Thanks, Reese.
I was worried about it because of the conversations you had with me prior to the whole even concept of the Naked Three. And I just didn't want to be that bad friend and not say something that I didn't mean it in that way, because I wasn't angry. I just didn't want you to take it as me being angry because of the stereotype of the angry Black woman. Like, why was she so upset?
Girl, we're already getting in.
I didn't go that far at all. I was like, I don't like the picture. Please, can you change it? That was it. I didn't go so far into thinking you were going to be angry. And if you were angry, we would have worked it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I feel super sad, Lorraine. Actually.
Why were you sad?
I don't know. I feel like that I don't want that to happen. I mean, I don't want these stereotypes. You don't have to take care of me. You can be angry. You can be angry. You can be a jerk. You can just be yourself because we're friends.
Right. But even with my friends, I still want to approach them in a way that they can hear it in a nice way. You know,
I'm down with that. I hear what you're saying.
I didn't like the picture, take it down. I didn't want, because that sometimes when you see something, a picture of yourself that you don't like, you might come out and say, I don't like it, take it down. And the tone in my voice could sound like that, but then that's not really how it is. So that's where a place I was coming from. So it's not just because it was you, but it was more, that's how I like to approach the situation.
And I'm different.
Say more.
I'm different because sometimes I'm unfiltered, and if it's an issue, sometimes I like to go straight to the issue.
I mean, you're the one that came up with the name of this show.
Right, because I like to get emotionally naked, and maybe just naked. Depends on where I am. You know?
Well, can I ask?
I love the name of the show. I love it. From the moment that Reese used the word emotionally naked, that instantly resonated with me. It instantly stuck to me, and I just loved it because I knew from the first conversation that we had outside of the listening circle that I wanted to talk to her more, because I wanted to talk about these kind of things, and she was game for it. And then I love the process of how we came up with the name. And even with talking about the elephant in the room, I felt like it was such a collaborative effort in what Sidewalk Talk was about. So it was like Sidewalk Talk is Tracy, the elephant in the room is Lorraine, and the naked, emotionally naked is Reese. So it was, to me, like a total group effort of becoming emotionally naked, talking about the elephant in the room compassionately. So I felt as though that it just encompasses everything that we believed, both individually and in our work. And that's why I was definitely drawn to this project.
Yeah. Well, and I thought that it would be helpful so Suzanne, Gil, Sabrina, Michelle, hi, thanks for commenting. We can't see who else is watching, but thanks for those of you that are commenting, and please do. And you can always email us at the number 3 at sidewalk-talk.org. We'll say more about that in the comments. But how did we all meet? I mean, I thought it was really cool how we all met. I mean, Lorraine, you and I met on Instagram. Well, yeah. Reese, you and I met on Instagram, but we got to know each other in a racism listening circle, which was
phenomenal.
Black and white and brown and yellow folks listening to each other about racism. Yes. And it got real right out the bat, right?
Right.
It did right out the bat. Who's facilitating this? Why is a white person facilitating this? I said, great, let's not have the white person facilitate it. And it created a lot of trust because we all just decided, hey, we're going to co-create this group messily together. And that's kind of reminding me of what you're saying right now, Lorraine, which is how we created the Naked Three. It's sort of like a carry-on from the racism listening circle we were in.
Yes. It was
very refreshing.
Say again?
Say more?
The listening circle was very refreshing.
What was refreshing about it?
Everyone just speaking, what they felt about things that were happening in the world, racism, how they grew up, and maybe the way they see the world versus how sometimes other people see the world. And I thought it was really interesting that people were willing to share and go there. Some people were really willing to go there about their history and how they were taught racism and how they're trying to change now. And I thought it was interesting.
Was it ever hard to listen though?
Some of the people who were like holding back and maybe afraid to be judged about, I don't hold white people responsible, but I know white privilege is real. And I think some of the people were afraid to really sit in that space because they felt like they were going to be judged by something their ancestors might have done.
I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
cool. Yeah, I'm listening. I'm also responding to some of the comments that are coming in, you too. So keep going.
Okay, so for me, the listening circle allowed me to, and I'm going to get emotional, it allowed me a little bit of healing. Because when you walk through the world as a person of color, it's really easy to hate white people and hate what they represent. But then the listening circle reminds me over and over again that it's not all, it's not the broad stroke. So, and most importantly, being heard at a time where lots of times Black people aren't being heard, and struggling with people hearing you and raising your voice and being upset, that it was really a place to be heard. I mean, seen, not only heard, but seen, even though it was through the computer, but to be seen in that way was to me very refreshing and healing, especially during that time when George Floyd, when that incident happened. I mean, I remember for 2 weeks just crying every single day. And I remember, Tracy, you were the first person to ask, how are you guys doing? And that was just on the Instagram Live. And I remember chatting in, just stressed, emotional, shock, that kind of thing. And you just listened and you were like, wow. And that's when you gave the history about Germany and the Holocaust and things like that. And I was like, wow, I didn't make that connection. And that's how we connected, beyond that Instagram Live. So that to me was very healing.
To have your experience validated and centered.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Validation for sure.
Yeah. Because, I want to chime in something here though that I think I did when I first became more conscious about racism, that I think white folks still jump in and center their guilt a bit too much. There's a lot of performative. My girlfriend and I call it the woke Olympics. I'm sorry. It just is not my jam. It just drives me up a wall. I'm like, you know what? If I have to prove to you anything, then I'm not legit, And I just was curious. Do you see that?
Yes, there's a lot of, I mean, especially now what's going on, there's a lot of white people that became friends that I knew that want to be re-friends because of what's going on, but it's not genuine. It's like, okay, this happened, but if I join with you to say I'm sorry, then it's okay. I'm okay as a white person. But it's like, let's have that conversation. Let's get deeper. Let's get naked. Even if they've done something in the past and they want to come to the table, don't bring a paper plate. Come with fine china.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Preach, girl. That one was good. I like that.
Come to the table with paper plates. I like that. For me,
I'm going to use that one for a long ass time. That was emotionally naked, and then don't bring a paper plate. Bring some china.
Not when you're talking about racism. Paper plates are for picnics. You're just having fun. But if we're coming to the table to talk serious, bring your finest china. Not plastic forks, but let's bring silverware, cutlery.
Yeah, people are digging this quote. Thanks, Amy, for letting us know.
Oh,
Reese drops the one-liners like nobody's business, and we're just. I'm still waiting for you to talk about sex once this episode, but maybe not because it's too serious.
last night. It was Tuesday night, correct?
Oh, it's Wednesday. I don't think that makes sense to you.
Last night was Tuesday night. Today
Oh.
is Wednesday, but it could be Tuesday night. I think it's a groovy thing.
What is the it that you're talking about? What is the groovy thing?
The groovy thing is like sex every Tuesday night. But every night could be Tuesday night. It's just a code word. I think every couple should have their code word for, especially if you have kids. But we don't have kids at home, so every night could be Tuesday night.
Oh, I get it now. So what, you don't just have sex on Tuesday nights, but it's your code word.
It's a code word. Code word.
I was going to say, I think you're having sex a lot more than Tuesday nights. The way
Yeah,
for those of you, I need you to understand that in every conversation that Lorraine, Reese, and I have had, Reese brags to us about how much action she gets all the time, and then she kind of champions Lorraine and I to be getting more action. Wouldn't you say you're like a sexual cheerleader?
Well, I think I want ladies to know, just because you're in your 50s or when you reach your 50s, we see so many things that there's problems and this is not happening, that's not happening. And I want to encourage people in their 50s, mid 50s, late 50s, it can happen. I love
so we'll have a whole episode on that of just sex, just for you, and you're going to be the leader of that conversation. Let me tell you.
Amazing. Sounds amazing. I'm getting a little hot over here. Woo.
That's your jam. That's your jam.
Honey.
Okay, can we get back to realness here?
Yes.
You are two Black women. I'm a white woman. Does this shit come up with us?
No joke. You're white?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay.
I know. Look at it. Well, the hair's not blonde; it's gray now. But yeah, I'm a white girl. So this stuff that we were talking about before about not trusting white people, and how does that come up with us? And how has it come up with us already? And how are we working through it?
I think just
our followers just dropped with that question.
Well, I think it came up because when you posted the picture, I don't think you realized that Reese and I wouldn't like the picture at all.
Or we knew it was going to be posted.
Right. But I looked at it like, oh my God, Tracy's so excited. We got a name and now she threw it on Instagram. And I was like, I got a scarf on. What? Who's rolling her up? And I knew instantly, I'm like, she totally missed the mark on that one. Like you didn't know that we would be upset. Like, not at all. Like that to me just totally spoke to how white you are.
That's funny. Right, because I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was like, no offense to Tracy, but this is typical of a white girl.
She did.
Nothing anger about it, but I'm like, this is so typical. But I don't think she meant any malice, but I'm like, this is so typical of a white person.
Yeah.
Do you think that all white folks would make that mistake? Or do you think it's a dipshit maneuver that anybody could make?
I think it's a dipshit move that anybody can make, but I think culturally, there is a difference. I think how Lorraine is from a different place.
Hey, you want to talk about that? Should we say kind of where you identify as locating yourself from? Suzanne, what do you say no about? Keep going. I was just wondering what Suzanne was saying no about.
Well, for me, I am first generation West Indian. Both of my parents are from Trinidad. I was born and raised in New York. So that comes from, my Black experience is completely different from Reese's because she was born and raised in the United States. So my parents are immigrants. So it's a totally different conversations around Blackness in our home. And Reese and I have talked about that as well. So that's just my experience.
And for me, I have a I'm multicultural woman of color. So I have some issues with some of the white side of my family because they were slave owners of my last name before I got married. Then I have some black family members and I have some native family members. And so, but I embrace them all and open to the conversation. But I identify as the woman of color, sassy, sexy, you know.
So, and when we talked about this between the three of us, I said, God, a classic centering whiteness. I don't feel like I have anything that I identify with. And you said to me, Reese, well, that's part of your problem. Do you remember saying that to me?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk real talk out loud. What did you mean by that?
I think, okay, most white folks know where they come from. They can trace it all the way back. So it's not a huge issue. But for us, and maybe for Lorraine, she can trace hers all the way back. But for me, we're always looking for, not always looking for, but sometimes we have to express our identity because people from the outside, from the majority group, they've already identified who we are without asking. So sometimes it's like, I need to tell you who I am. But you could be anybody because a white person can walk in the room and be anything or anybody. But for us, sometimes we walk in the room, we're already identified. If I'm in another country, I'm something else. If I'm in America, I'm something else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, my experience as a Black woman, I don't look Black, like what people think Black people should look like. So my whole life, I've always gotten, what are you? Where are you from? You're Black? You don't look Black. Well, oh, your parents are from Trinidad. Oh, that makes sense. So people can't always identify what I am. They know I'm not white, but they don't always identify with me with being Black. Some people might say, oh, well, you look Hispanic. Oh, you look Dominican. Oh, you look Haitian. So there's just sometimes I constantly have to tell people what I am. And people always ask, well, what are you? And sometimes I just say Black. And they're like, really? And I'll never forget, I worked with a student and she said to me, and this was my favorite, she's like, what's your cultural heritage? And I love that because she knew that I was mixed, and I tell people, my parents are mixed. My father can trace his ancestry back to having a Chinese great-grandparent. My mother can trace her ancestry to Indian grandfather. So my heritage is mixed, but people look at me and they don't know what I am. And that goes for Black and white people. So I constantly have to explain that.
And I get it more from white people in the word exotic. I once upon a time thought it meant something nice, but when I researched it, it really meant I want to be comfortable what box I want to put you in because you're exotic. So I don't know, identities change. I think our identities change, not just of color, but if you're a mom and you're raising two young kids, you might identify more as a mom. But if kids are out of the house and you're just having great fun, I might identify as a 50-something-year-old just having fun.
Hey, I want to circle back to something Suzanne said, and I'm having to metabolize a lot of shame here. She said, I wouldn't have made the mistake that Tracy made. I would have checked in and probably been super sensitive to both the portrayal of Reese and Lorraine. So it's not a white girl thing globally. And I think Suzanne's probably white. And I think that's right, because I actually don't agree with you. I don't think it was about my whiteness. I would have done the same thing and taken a shitty picture of two white women and posted it as well and not checked in. I think it was about my shitty leadership skills.
Right. That's great that we know that. But I guess
I don't think I'm a particularly good leader. I love to move so fast that I think that this is where it is a supremacist sort of background, because I think that that's part of a capitalist white supremacist model, is you move fast without consensus building. And so that part I think is legit. But if you would have been two white girls and it was a shitty picture, I would have posted it too.
Right. And see, now we know that, but in the beginning we did not, because we just didn't know.
Oh, it's the number one complaint about me. And I think I said in my bio, I'm a good mistake maker. This is where I'd be a good mistake maker. I move too fast. And then I don't move too fast.
But you own it.
And that's what you like about me, right, Reese? You've told me that.
I like it that you own things, because the only way to really get to the root of what and resolve conflict is to just come with it. Don't come with that paper plate.
And you admitted that even when we sent the email and you apologized and we said, don't worry about it, don't take it down, you instantly took it down and you said, I apologize for it affecting you negatively. So you owned it, you corrected it. So sometimes people apologize for doing something and it's just, oh, I'm sorry, just to say it, but there's no meaning behind it. So the fact that you owned it and you took action, to me, that was really important. And it just, again, it speaks to why I was attracted to Sidewalk Talk in the beginning, because you listened, you know, that compassionate listening and just hearing what we said. And you were like, all right, I'm going to take care of it. Even without asking, you're like, I looked for it the other day. I was like, oh, she took it down, which I was happy that you took it down. You know, even though I was okay with you leaving it up, I was much happier when you took it down.
Yep, and I hope that you're a little more ballsy with me in the future and don't do this whole, oh, you can leave it up. Don't do that shit with me. Don't do that shit with me.
Right. And I think for me, Tracy's just a cool person. I think when we were doing the listening circle, I just like her honesty. You know what I mean? Just like she's doing now. I like the honesty that she's coming forth. And I think if a lot of other people of non-color would do that, we could have a better dialogue about racism, identity, you know, all these things, because for us as people of color, our identity was given to us. We didn't choose what we are. It was sort of giving. You are this and you are that. It's just like checking the box. I always check other unless it works for me, because who tells me who I am?
Interesting. Okay.
And the word for us has changed over time. African American, Negro, Black. And all those words change for us. You're always white.
Right. You can always check the same box.
I just want to be queen bitch. No, just kidding.
I think you will.
No, okay, but since we're talking about identity, what do you want to be called?
A Reese.
I like Lorraine, but I mean, if I had to identify, I always identify myself as Black, and I'll use the term a woman of color interchangeably. Right. So
I like a woman of color because we are so many colors. We are high yellow, we are red, we are black, we are brown, we are brownish yellow. So for me, a woman of color fits, because if I'm in a room full of women who are Asian, Spanish, we're all some color. We're not like a clean page or a white page. Just like Caucasian, sometimes I don't like that either, because you're not white like those glasses you have on. You are what
yeah, but I'm just out with summer.
Right. So you can always get away with checking the white box. Sometimes depends on where we are. If I'm in Spain, they're going to make me say I'm Spanish, even though I'm American. No, you're not. You're Spain. You're Spanish. You're black. You know, the same thing Lorraine was saying, but it depends on where I am. But generally, I will check other, because the government doesn't tell me who I am unless it works for me.
Yep.
And that also changes for me as well, because if I'm in Trinidad, I'm an American. If I'm in America, I'm West Indian Trinidadian. So
I know we're almost out of time, but can I ask you, would that be true today after last night? Oh, you didn't watch the debate. We're not going to get into the debate because we're already out of time, guys. Remember I said the show goes by really fast, 30 minutes.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Boom, that was fast. And we want to keep it short because we want folks to be able to come have lunch with us if they're on the West Coast, and have an afternoon snack if they're on the East Coast. Guys, our hope is that this can just be a place to not get into all the rules about how we talk about. I mean, I just want us to, I want to model how white folks make mistakes. I want to model how to center someone else. I want to have a shit ton of fun and keep people laughing and feeling. I want to have some like shiny, loving shit come out of this, even with the real talk, and model how it happens. Right. And I screw up all the time, but you guys have been a great support to me around some hard things that I've had happen. And likewise, I think, one time we'll talk about mothers at some time, because we have a lot of connection around mothers too, that we talked about.
Yes.
And we want to thank everybody for tuning in, today.
Yes. Thank you for coming to see the Naked 3, and hopefully you'll come back again.
Right. And if you want us to make space for you with questions, just email us at thenaked3@sidewalk.talk.org.
Sidewalk-talk.org. I'm going to
I
put
said
it.
I would probably screw it up.
That's okay. I'm putting it in the comments, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. And we're going to be 12:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Eastern time. And we hope you guys will come back and join us, post your questions, and just enjoy your hump day.
And we're coming every week, so just a little taster to just rev you up and just good vibes while having hard conversations.
And dare to get naked.
Dare to get naked. And if Beth's watching, we're not actually naked, but we kind of are naked. Oh, here we go.
Here she goes. From the gym.
Well, I think sometimes we just gotta just let our, just let the ladies go and get naked.
So here's the thing. I guarantee you that if you come watch this show every Wednesday, you will, and you're partnered up or not partnered up, you are going to have more sex because you are in affiliate. Reese, I got to tell you that I've been having more sex since knowing you.
Good for you. Good
for you. Great.
We'll talk about that offline. Or maybe we'll talk about it real time next time. I don't know if I'm that brave. Maybe I will be.
All right. You are very brave.
All right, lovelies. I love you, ladies. Thanks for teaching me so much and for being willing to let me fuck it up and make it right. And
and that's okay. That's okay.
We're all learning. It's great.
Yes, we are all learning. Thank you, Tracy, for allowing us to have this platform and adding something else to your plate. We really appreciate it.
And remember, don't come to a conversation with a paper plate.
That's the keeper for the day. It's going to go up on social media tomorrow morning. So with your name. All right. Bye, y'all. See you next week.
Bye. Love you, ladies. Bye.